This is a look at a game in early access, so everything said here is subject to change. Pay attention to the date this video was released. Hello everyone and welcome to Early Breakdown. I am Nordegraf, and today we're having an early look at a game in early access called We Happy Few. Now, if you've been living under a rock, We Happy Few was a game that debuted at E3. It had a quite interesting premise of this brave new world type of city where they're all controlled by this drug called Joy. And it has a very Bioshock feel to the trailer, with a very dystopic city. And let's talk about how now in early access how it works, right? So let's start breaking it down with the graphics. The graphics look good. They do sometimes feel a little muddy, but that's certainly something that can be polished up until the release. Some parts of town have a very Fable-like feel to them, but there's definitely the graphics definitely do the job in this game to give it a cartoony feel and kind of give a feeling of zest to all the violence and crazy stuff happening in We Happy Few. Now let's talk about the story. We can't. The story is not there yet. There is some world building there where you can do certain quests for certain characters, be it grabbing a doll for this guy, or stealing from the code of Jack, or just simply grabbing a couple of bulbs to this old lady. They're there, but the story of the world, who your character is, it's very minimal and just not quite there yet. They are promising that when it's released, they're gonna have 3 characters and all of their stories will interact with each other, and you play them all, and you have to, I'm gonna guess by the objective that you have currently is to escape, that they're gonna try to escape from the city. But we can't really judge the game by story right now, because it's definitely gonna change by the end of it. Now let's talk about the gameplay then, since we can talk story. The gameplay is this is a survival game. It's a survival game in the veins of DayZ, Rust, except with less zombies. The important thing is that this survival game is more of a, you have to blend in with people, right? Instead of you just have to survive. There's not much to talk about regarding the combat. It's if you've ever played the culling, it's very similar to that. You can do charge attacks with certain weapons, and to be fair, it's not very hard to do combat because most fights you can end by just punching them. In fact, your punches are probably one of your strongest weapons. So just punch people away. You can also throw rocks or throw bottles at them, but I find that just punching them solves most fights. You do have your food, your hunger bar, your thirst bar, your sleep bar, and certain other ailments like plague, food poisoning, and bleeding that you have to treat as you go along. You have to scavenge for supplies. And also there's this very interesting aspect that sometimes you can scavenge for supplies in certain areas of the city because it will make you look suspicious, and that could send everybody after you. Although I'm gonna be fair, running away from people, not that hard. If you get into a situation where you have to run away from people, it's not that hard to run away from them. And hiding is even easier. You just run into an alleyway, done, boom, you're safe. Which personally I welcome, because if you just wanna get from point A to point B and you have to blend in the whole way through, it can be a little annoying. I did run into some situations where I was just trying to get to a certain point and I had to blend in, and it was just a little too frustrating because I kept getting caught, and you have to, in a specific area, you have to keep getting joy, and you have to keep taking joy in order to blend in with people. If you run, people get suspicious and they start calling donors, which are basically people that do not take their drugs in this game. But the survival aspects work fine. Sometimes it can be frustrating not finding a certain item that you need. For example, let's say you need healing balm, but you don't have the things. So as long as you know where everything is, so take the time to learn and you should be fine. Another important aspect of this game is this game has permadeath. So if you're into those types of games where there's hardcore permadeath, this game can work for you. But if you don't, you can turn it off just fine. I played without permadeath, not my type of thing. If you are, go for it. It's there for you if you want a more hardcore experience. You can also, there's a second wind where you can save yourself before you die, which I found it more annoying than anything because I found myself not having healing bombs and then just simply giving in and getting knocked out again just so I could be sent back to the safe house. Speaking of safe houses, there are multiple safe houses. You can go for travel from a safe house to safe house, but there are multiple safe houses in each sector except for the third one which I went to. I have not progressed past the third point yet, as I feel like I've learned everything about that I needed to know about the game to critique it. That's pretty much it for the gameplay. There's not much else to say. It's a survival game. You have to manage your moods. You have to keep taking joy to blend in, things like that. As for how execution, the whole package works, I felt it worked fine. I didn't have many issues with it. I didn't meet many glitches. I didn't run into any situations where I was just completely frustrated and I felt like I didn't know why I was being punished. I always knew why I was being punished. I was very careless, so I was getting caught constantly, and I didn't take the time to learn the map, so I was running into like dead ends and everything. So every time I got frustrated, I knew why I was frustrated. As for the price, the game is currently asking for $30, so it's hard for me to say since I got handed a code to the game, but I feel like for $30, what they're offering at the end of the early access period is fair. As of right now, maybe a little less would be fair, like 20 bucks would be more for what they're offering right now. If you feel like they're gonna deliver what they promise, it's a good change. But as always with any early access game, be careful. They might not end up delivering what they promised, and you might end up being disappointed in the end. But $30, it's a fair price point, I think, although I would feel better paying maybe 20 instead of 30. But as always, just be careful with early access games. Would I recommend this game? Yeah, if you're into survival games, it's fun. If you're not into survival games, it's fun too. Surprisingly, I'm not a big fan of survival games, and I found myself having fun with the game. Although I did get frustrated because I started losing my patience and I started getting careless. If you're not into survival games but the premise still interests you, if you're a fan of BioShock, definitely consider getting this game. Although, again, I suggest wait until the early access period is over if you're on the fence about it. This has been the early breakdown of We Happy Few. I'll see you guys on the next, whatever it is I'll do, on the flip side. Bye bye.